video. This is a time of year which is identified as the veil being thin. However, things are changing. The veil being thin for other people, the veil is thin all year for a divine being, which means that you're able to see between the physical and the spiritual. However, during this time period, people who aren't able to see that on a regular basis start to see it, and they get a little bit spooked. They actually start to see the monster reflection of self. During this time, people often lose control. They feel out of control. So this is a high volume time on the psych area. People kind of lose their wits about themselves. And this is a high black magic time in the spiritual world, because people start grasping for ways to have control. This is the time period of the year where manipulation does you no good. Because if you can start to see between the physical and the spiritual, you actually start to see the true effects of manipulation. This is the time period where you can actually look at individuals and you can tell that they're not being honest. You can hear the words and know that they're not being honest. You can feel the emotion behind it and know that they're not being honest. That's what it's all about when you kind of hear the veil is thinning, the veil is thinning. And that generally happens in October, and it's all linked to the whole Halloween whoop-de-doo. Have you ever seen children during this time? They're having fun. Because they generally live in that spacing. So it's like, oh, wow. So all these interesting things that are happening, it's been created around this spook, almost like these random things are happening and it's creepy. But spiritual things happen every day in the physical world because it's aligned side by side. It's all happening at the same time. However, when it's described as the veil being thin, it's all of a sudden everybody is a part of it. So, similar to those spiritual numbers that people see and random things that just happen in front of them, and it's like, whoa, what's that? What's that? Well, it's always historically been coined that October is a time where the veil is thin, where you can pick up on spiritual phenomenon. However, this is becoming a way of life on Earth. Earth has ascended to the point in which this is going to become the dominant energy, in which you're starting to see the truth within what's considered to be the 3D world. Which means that 3D is considered that 1D, 2D, 3D, okay? Which is generally ran by the mind state that allows a lot of programming, which means that it can be described almost as the 3D illusion. Because the mind can kind of be programmed into believing and seeing that in which it's not as it is. The world is shifting to a 5th dimensional plane, which is actually online at this point. With the world switching to being more of a 5th dimensional plane and not a 3rd dimensional plane, those things which are not in the physical domain, which has to be physically seen, logically claimed, are not the only facets that are happening right now. When you start to say spiritual, you're starting to see the behind the scenes on the thoughts and the emotions of many things that are happening, okay? You're starting to see the makings of the things that are actually happening in the physical world. Do some additional research there, and there'll be more here on it. However, right now, this month is always coined as a thinning of the veil. This message is simply to say that the thinning of the veil is becoming a permanent state because the earth is moving to a fifth dimensional state, has moved to a fifth dimensional state, which means that the truths are coming to light. Similar to what was described generally this month, where all of the darkness would come out. And you would start to see the monsters and things of that sort, which is what is the ugly truth. Look at the election time. It's not like it used to be. Look at all of the truths that are coming out throughout the world that aren't as pleasant. The third dimensional plane is not able to shield those things anymore, which means that there is not able to be an imprinted view versus the real view. That's what we mean by veil being thin. So instead of it being just specific individuals who are able to see, the earth has shifted for all to see. There are certain individuals that can handle the truth. And there are certain individuals that can't. Many have done the work to embody the ability to see it. You started seeing truths years prior in your life, yourself, and the people around you. It was very uncomfortable because the rest of the world did not live in that space, which means that you could see the truth of organizations, you could see the truth of people, you could see the truth of all types of things, but however, you were solo on that. Now, many of the things that you were solo on is becoming public knowledge. That's what we mean about the earth shifting to fifth dimension. So it's not the minority who are able to see. The majority are able to see. However, the minority embodied a way about themselves to be able to be in balance in seeing truths and experiencing realities, which means that what they see in the physical does not determine who they are or their directional paths in life. This is an adjustment that many are having to take and stepping into taking right now, with the veil becoming a permanent state of thin. Why is this happening? Because people are becoming more spiritual. And if they're more spiritual, they're aligning to things of spirit, which means that it's what's not seen. It's felt. It's a vibration. It's a knowing. That is becoming the dominant energy on the planet. It's leaving from a mind space to a heart space. This is shifting into a heart-centered planet, which is literally what was last is becoming first, and what was first is becoming last. The shift is happening full circle. Those who have prepared to be heart-centered individuals are able to handle this shift a lot better. Those who have not prepared for this and aren't able to stay balanced in seeing the truths and realities behind the things that were physically implanted and programmed in the mind state as it is, they are realizing it isn't that state, and it can be a little bit shattering. Which is, I thought that people in this position acted this way, and that they were really these type of people. I thought that these people were these types of people. I thought that this system was this type of system. And as the truths come out, it can be very overwhelming for many. However, there are many who are on posts who have already taken that walk and journey in self-actualization, and they're able to support those in getting in balance and being able to handle this time plane that is happening on earth right now. It is a beautiful time of ascension. However, the adjustment is a little bit topsy-turvy. But however, there are enough individuals in place who know what's going on, who have been living in that space and preparing that space, which means that they saw the truths of their life. They saw the truths of the people who are around them. They saw the truths of the organizations. They saw the truths of the systems. and they knew that these things had to be altered. However, they were in a time in which there was no backing whatsoever, and also many are like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you? However, in this time period, there's a lot of people going, this is nuts. This has to be altered. This isn't right. This isn't for humanity. This isn't for human beings. This isn't supporting the human journey. With that backing system now starting to be online where more people are seeing these things, then we get to move into the shift of actually making lasting change and making this a planet that is something that's more human friendly. In the meantime, a lot of those who experienced a lot of anxieties and depressions and things of that sort in the past, once they started seeing the truth of things, there's an increasing of that happening right now with many individuals who are seeing the truth of their relationships, people, situations, and systems around them. Again, there are people in place for this. This is why many people took these journeys ahead of time, for such a time as this. This is about this month being what is coined as the veil thinning time that used to happen periodically to prepare people. It used to be just a random thing, kind of like full moon nights, Halloween time periods. However, those were introductions into the way that things are to be, which is the truth is to be in the light, because that gives power to begin to alter what is not wanted into something that is wanted. If there is a physical impression of something that is not as it is, it can continue to go on that way and cause many invisible effects on the mental and the emotional plane of individuals and environments without people knowing it. Now that the truth is being seen, it gives power, but it does have an overwhelming effect. What that looks like is that during this month in years of past, it was a little bit less intense, but now that we have moved up into the fifth dimensional plane, these times are a little bit more times 10. However, it's necessary for these final shifts that we're moving into. I described the shifts on the community board months ago. All right, wonderful. The golden mission is always union within and then union with others, systems, places, things, situations.